welcome to the Falkland Islands. Welcome home.
This has been on the top of our bucket list.
Hi, Matt, nice to meet you.
It does feel like we're home. A bright red bus. Did you hear that?
Gen 2 penguins. They actually have the largest population in the entire world.
The best thing has got to be the pubs in Stanley, right?
Oh, I don't know.
A nice hot beer.
Oh yeah, go on.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Good morning and welcome to the Falkland Islands. Welcome home. Welcome to this British overseas territory of more than 700 islands, and after around 2 weeks at sea, 4 days sailing around Antarctica, we recrossed the Drake and made it to Little England, the archipelago paradise, home to over 500,000 pairs of penguins, and we have the entire day to see and do as much as humanly possible. We got the first tender over this morning. It's now time to explore the Falkland Islands.
This has been on the top of our bucket list for so long. I can't believe that we are finally here, and I am so excited to explore. We actually are going to be meeting up with a local, and I have a funny story about how I found them. So I spoke to a tour company, and because there is another ship here, they are extremely busy. So they said, do you know what? My dad's going to take you out. So we have a local man, I think his name is Nick, and he is going to be taking us around the Falklands for a few hours, and yeah, I just cannot wait to explore what this island has to offer.
Hey! Hi, Matt, nice to meet you.
Good. Good go this way?
Thank you. This is definitely a pinch me moment. We had pretty much the full island out to welcome us on land, and we even had a little seal.
What a welcome. We have a little seal on the dock.
And these behind me is actually how most people are going to get around outside of Stanley, the capital of around 2,000 people. There aren't many roads, so you're going to have to be travelling around by 4x4s.
We are just about to jump in our 4x4, but look at this. It really does feel like we're home. A bright red bus. We have barely been driving 5 minutes, and we have just found an elephant seal. I think it's an elephant seal anyway. Look at him. Wow, he keeps making these noises, and he's just relaxing. He's chilling out, he's having a daytime nap. Did you hear that?
And after around an hour's drive, we have made it to Bertha's Beach. We got straight out of Stanley, so we could see these guys behind me, the Gen 2 penguins. They actually have the largest population in the entire world. But one thing you will notice is it is extremely windy on these islands, so I do apologise about the audio. They say today is actually a non-windy day, and it is blowing.
This is just like being at home. The wind, the grey sky, but the thing that's different is I am currently surrounded by penguins, Gen 2 penguins. So we had seen them through our trip in Antarctica, and you can tell when they swim in the water with their orange beaks. They're not quite as noisy as the jackass penguins that we saw, the Magellanic ones, but they are pretty cute.
They look like what you expect a penguin to be like. It's like Happy Feet.
They're just cartoons.
This is Bertha's Beach, which is also home to more of the Gen 2 penguins. They come down from the grasslands behind, and there's actually about 10 or 20 of them just chilling out in front of me. You've got two running out into the sea, and it is the finest white sand and the bluest water, which I probably didn't expect in the Falkland Islands.
This is so cool. We're literally one of the only people down on this beach, and we literally have the penguins all to ourselves. They're such interesting characters. It's so hilarious watching them. Oh, this bit is really funny. It's so funny watching them
just waddle into the sea. This is special. This is as unique as it gets. We have the entire beach to ourselves and are surrounded by little groups of Gen 2 penguins, and they're not shy at all. There's one here, you've got to stay around 4 or 5 meters away. They're so intrigued at you, they're not scared, they just waddle about doing penguin stuff like penguins do.
So Nick, how is life on the Falkland Islands?
Good. It's peaceful. You get on with your work, and there's hardly nobody unemployed. Best thing here is safety. You got almost nil crime, drug-free, and getting off the island is the airlink problem.
The best thing has got to be the pubs in Stanley, right?
Oh, I don't know.
A nice hot beer.
Oh yeah, go on. I reckon, yeah.
Perfect. How was it during the war?
I had its moments, it was different, but I was lucky where I was. We never had much problem. Every day we had house searches by the Argentine military.
It is so interesting to get Nick's perspective on living in such a remote island. They definitely don't have Amazon Prime, and to hear his stories from living through the war. But we've driven back through Stanley and we've made it to the Lady Elizabeth shipwreck. This got stuck at sea back in 1913 going around Cape Horn and has been here in the Falklands ever since. This is cool.
We're the only ones here yet again. I think we've been incredibly lucky to see some amazing things. The Gen 2 penguins are now a shipwreck. I don't fancy getting any closer because I feel like that water is going to be
cold.
chilly.
It's crazy to think just how untouched this island is, and there is more than just the wildlife. You've got over 100 Warwick slippery, 100-year-old shipwrecks. You probably could walk here from Stanley, but with these winds today, I'm not sure you'd want to. We do actually have a couple more stops. We're really making the most of the time that we have with Nick, so it's definitely worth popping down here, taking a look at the shipwreck, and then trying to find some more penguins. Just a 5-minute drive from the shipwreck, we have made it to York Bay. This is a little bit more of a hidden gem on the island, and hopefully here we'll get the chance to see some king penguins. But we are currently walking through the most impressive sand dunes that give us a little bit of respite from this wind. So this behind the dunes is York Bay, and of course there are more blooming penguins, more Gen 2 penguins. We're yet to find the king, but there are so many little fluffy babies along here, and they're just chilling in the sand. They're doing nothing but sleeping.
We have been pretty lucky. There are not one, but 2 king penguins behind. They have like yellow around. They're a lot bigger than the little Gen 2s, but there is only 2 of them. I'm so happy we can say we've seen king penguins.
Cheers.
Cheers.
We got so lucky. 3 types of penguin and 2 elephant seal and normal seal.
Yeah.
When we came in, but that was the essence of the Falkland Islands. It isn't just nature. You've got to come into a traditional Falkland Island pub.
I love it so much.
Draped in flags and enjoy an ice cold beer. I actually think we're going to do a bit of a bar crawl. There are 3 or 4 bars in the city of Stanley, and I feel like we'll drink our way through them all.
So Nick has actually just been showing us the money of the Falklands. It's actually so unique. So you have little seals on the, I say little, on the £20 note. You have penguins, obviously you have the Queen, and on the back you have some of the landmarks here on the island. And where's the one with King Charles? Here it is.
We don't even have that yet.
We don't even have King
You're ahead
Charles
of us.
money yet.
You're living in the future.
They have the pound coin, so you can actually use British pounds, sterling here as well. You can pay in dollars, but I want to get some Falklands money for a souvenir.
Cheers.
Cheers! Woo!
This is pretty surreal. A home away from home, a traditional English pub on one of the most isolated islands in the entire world. Cheers.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Nick is supplying even more beer. He said it'd be rude not to on our only day on the island, and we also could not come here and not get a traditional fish and chips. What was the name of the fish?
Grenadilla.
Is it a grenadilla? Grenadilla. So this is grenadilla. I'm going to call it traditional Falkland Islands fish. Oh, it's crispy.
It looks good.
No skin as well, which is a huge bonus. Peas, which I won't be eating, they're a little bit too green for me. Oh, it looks good. Look at that.
Wow.
Steaming hot, and this is actually the only item on the menu. Fish and chips or nothing? Oh.
I'm in try.
You want to try?
I don't eat fish. The smallest bit.
The smallest bit.
I've never. I think I might have only ever tried it once.
It's good. Grenadilla. Falkland Islands fish in a traditional Falkland Islands pub.
It doesn't really taste fishy. It's kind of.
I know good
I don't
chips.
know, just battery, but it's nice.
It's really good.
It's good. Cheers.
In my house, I've got...
That was so good. The best fish and chips I have had to date. It honestly does feel like a throwback or a tiny little British village. One of the 4 pubs in the capital city, now a city. Stanley actually became a city 1 or 2 years ago, so this probably, or is, one of the smallest cities in the, look at that, in the entire world. And next to me is a red British telephone box. This is almost slapstick.
It's not like we haven't got these everywhere at home, but I feel like seeing as we have them here in Stanley. Oh!
See if it works.
Does it work?
Does it work?
Hold that. It's a bit windy. No. No line. But still cool.
We could have stayed there with Nick all day. The stories that he tells us about this island are just fascinating, but we do need to explore this capital city, Stanley, which apparently everything is on this one road. We just passed the Jubilee Villas to commemorate Queen Victoria's Golden Jubilee. We are now passing the Harbour View gift shop, but we're going to head all the way up past the town to check out the church, some more shops, and probably get another pint.
Next to the Jubilee Villas, you have the church, and you also have the whalebone arch. It's actually jawbones from a blue whale, and it's put here to commemorate 100 years of the British administration here in the Falklands. And look at how huge they are. They're blooming massive. This is about as local as it gets. This behind me, this building is the prison, and Nick actually told me that he thinks there's possibly between 5 and 7 people in here, and they don't have a lot of crime at all. Very small population, but also a case of that there's not really any crime to commit.
There's nothing to do, there's no crimes to commit.
There's 5 to 7 people in this prison. It's insane. It actually looks quite nice.
Do you think you could live here? Do you think you would struggle? 1 month apparently to get your parcels from Amazon Prime, but opposite the prison is the town hall and the post office. This isn't the world's southernmost post office, as we have been to the one in Antarctica, but out the front are 2 very traditional British post boxes, and the American tourists on our cruise are definitely enjoying it. I love it. They've even got the traditional post box, and if you didn't know, I was a postman back in the UK, so I've emptied many of the royal post boxes.
alcohol.
My dad.
You couldn't come to the Falkland Islands without talking about the War of 1982, after Argentina invaded and subsequently led to the 74-day war. Thatcher sending troops from the UK, perhaps not what the Argentinian authorities expected, but it led to the liberation of the Falkland Islands, and to this day there are still numerous squabbles, differences between the two, but very recently, a few years ago, they did have a referendum and 99.8% wanted to remain a British overseas territory, but so many young men lost their lives, and we actually checked out the museum and learnt more about the war. We went to the Thatcher Memorial because the people here are so thankful for her sending the troops over. I don't know if today the country would be as strong as they were back in 1982, and it's just so sad to see how many young men lost their lives.
This is such a cute, quaint city. I would call it a town, but
it's a city.
Matt said, it is a city. They actually have a newspaper. I think it's called the Penguin News, and it comes out once a week on a Friday. Apparently it's only 6 pages long. I mean, if
It's
that's
so
not
cool.
cute, I
It
don't know
puts
what
so
is.
much into perspective.
We couldn't not come to the gift shop and buy a Falklands flag.
Cheers. Thank you very much. Cheers.
Cheers!
The perfect way to end our day on the Falkland Islands. We found the rock hopper beer that is brewed
Delicious.
on the lager. We have about 20 souvenirs. Oh, that's really good.
Including 2 beers, to be
We're
fair.
actually in Victory Bar, but the music is very, very loud again. Draped in the Falklands
I love it.
Island flag. We need to come back. There is a direct flight with the British Air Force to the island once a week, twice a week. So next year, we're coming back. Cheers. And that was the Falkland Islands, a place we've wanted to come to for such a long time, and it certainly didn't disappoint. Such a unique island, full of wildlife and history, and unfortunately you cannot forget the war. Young men on both sides losing their lives. But it was a rather poignant ending, as in the pub we actually bumped into 2 veterans of the war.
My name's Tony Barlow, 3rd Battalion Parachute Regiment, 4 Platoon B Company. When 1982 fought on Mount Longdon, my sergeant won the VC. I've come back after 41 years to see how the island has changed for the better. The community have accepted me with open arms, and it was almost as if I'd never been away.
We could have stayed there all day listening to their stories, but we had to get back on the Sapphire Princess and start sailing to our next destination, Uruguay.